Hello, dear Starshines. Christina here with Rise of the Multi-Dimensional Human in Lightbody Academy. Welcome to today's Lunchtime Chats. For those of you who are new, my name is Christina, and I am the acceleration expert. In the Lunchtime Chats here, we talk about topics and issues that are significant to new paradigm visionaries, wayshowers, star seeds, people like us who have awarenesses and abilities that perhaps the average human is not quite in touch with yet. So because of that, we have very unique challenges, and I am here to give a liberated perspective to those kinds of challenges. And as you guys know, we have a lot of shenanigans going on the planet right now, and there's plenty of challenge to go around. Am I right? So I'm going to pause right here and give the crew a moment to get on here and join us. You can join us two ways. You can, if you're on Facebook, you can join us on the Rise of the Multi-Dimensional Human Facebook group. You have to answer all 3 questions in order to have admittance to that group. So if you've tried to join the group before and didn't get admitted, this is probably why, is because you didn't answer all 3 questions. The other way to watch these videos is to check out, just watch us on YouTube on our Lightbody Academy channel. And pretty soon we'll be coming to live stream on Instagram as well. So if you want to support us on being able to live stream our work on Instagram, I encourage you to go over to our channel, Multidimensional Accelerator, and subscribe. Or wait a minute, on Instagram, do you like, subscribe, whatever, follow? That's what you do on Instagram, you follow. So as soon as we get up to 1,000 followers, which we're almost there, then we'll be able to do these live streams on that particular platform as well. So welcome, welcome, welcome. Let me say hello to dear Soul Schooling, and hello, dear sister Facebook user. That might be Ray Ellen. And we are living in challenging and amazing times, our Facebook user says. Yes, we are indeed. And I'm coming to you from hot as hell, Kansas right now. It's super, super sweltering hot. You might even see the sweat dripping off of my brow. I have a paper towel here to help damp that out because it's kind of annoying when sweat drips down your face. But it's beautiful. I feel that I'm even blessed to be here. So the fact that it's hot, that's just a minor inconvenience. It's really a beautiful, beautiful state. And it's, yeah, there's so much to say about Kansas. People think Kansas is, like there's nothing to do or check out in Kansas, but I would beg to differ. If you love nature, if you love birds and wildlife, Kansas has a lot to offer. And we're in this small, small town in a city park, and it's cool here. It's pretty cool. And we get a breeze. So it's super hot and we get a breeze, which is delightful. All right. Good morning, Laurel. How you doing? All right. So if you guys are joining us on Facebook, you have to give Facebook approval to share your name with StreamYard. So on the description of this video, if you click on that and then click on the link below it, it'll let me see your name. And if you don't want to do that, that's fine. Just know that that's why I'm not able to call you out by name and say hello. Welcome, everybody. All right. So we have a lot of topics that came up on our stream. I have, I think, way more questions that I can possibly cover in this hour. So I'm going to do my best on that. And if there's any live questions happens while I do this activation, I'll be checking in on those as well. All right. So let's go ahead and move forward in the activation portion of this work. And actually that one of those questions I can answer right now. And it was from dear Claudia. Dear Claudia made the observation that I am doing the activation process differently than I have in the past. Is this because my understanding has shifted? And what I want to say to that is that, our understandings, if they're not shifting, there's something going on, right? There's some kind of blind spot or stagnicity. So always, 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 we're growing in this work. I'm growing in this work. I'm sure you guys are growing in your work. And though there may be a teaching that you've known for 20, 30 years, there's always more and more to flesh out from those wisdom teachings. And so I switched to how I depict these the interwoven nesting dolls, the dimensions, because to me it seemed to convey the idea even more deeply to people that this reality here and now has many weavings that are interdimensional planes of existence. So that's why I started doing it in this more nesting doll style versus the axis, which is how Barbara Handclough originally brought this work forward. So for those of you who are new to the talks and, oh, is that a little blurry? I can't tell. Is that blurry? Hey, can you get on the thing and see if it's blurry? All right. Hello, darlings. Hello, hello. We'll see if it corrects itself. If not, I'll have to exit and come back in. We'll see. And then what was I saying? Oh, yes. So this work that I'm bringing forward as an activation process for you guys is open source code brought to human consciousness by a record keeper, a Cherokee record keeper by the name of Barbara Handclough. Now, she is extremely influential in the generations, in my generation of generations before me, in the New Age movement. She is really a pivotal figure in the kinds of studies and the research and stuff that she's done. So she was the original bringer to this, to the human collective, and I was instantly attracted in 1999 to her work. And as soon as I found out that she was doing regular workshops every summer in Lilydale, New York, which is a closed psychic intuitive spiritualist community up in upstate New York, and it was in driving distance of me, I knew I had to go. So about every year, for about 10 years, I would go and do her activations, 9-dimensional activations each summer. And it was a process, of course. And when she began, she was very straightforward that this was a material that she hasn't digested all the way yet. And she was still learning about what these dimensions were all about. So in a lot of ways, that group, we were like the test subjects and in exploring these dimensions and exploring the ramifications to human consciousness and all that stuff. So she is a pivotal figure in my life, and I'm sure she's been a pivotal figure in many other people's lives. So that's where this work comes from. And if you want to dive into that, I encourage you to check out her website, handclough2012.com. It's good? Okay, thank you. All right. I was just checking on if it's blurry or not with an outsider, just to make sure. So let's go ahead and go into the activation. So we're going to do free will versus structure. Okay. I'm going to make red free will and blue structure. And this is something that we also need to keep in mind. This is another dynamic to the teachings that I want to tune you guys into. So hopefully my marker, it works well. All right. This outer structure. The Madre de Dios, the Mother of God. This is the center. This is the Milky Way galaxy, what we call the galactic mind, the 9th dimension. Okay. And from this nesting doll emanates the creation waves that are an organizing force to all of the consciousness within this nesting doll. So there are creation waves that move through and from this dimension and permeates all the inner nesting dolls of reality. So it is said that there's 9, but I'm suspecting there's more, especially now as we shift into this new reality, the new paradigm, and some may say the Ascension. Okay, and this nesting doll is free will. This nesting doll is free will and exploration. The next nesting doll is that 8D, that all that is consciousness that we may call God. Okay? Now, most of the religions on this planet are not necessarily talking about this, or they are, but it's twisted and demented in that all the ethics of behavior and code of conduct that comes from the wisdom of understanding we're all connected, everything is one, we are all one together, one family, one expression, many different flavors of the one, right? There's certain ethical behaviors and how we treat each other and how we connect with one another and what kind of priorities and values we have in cultivating community. Yeah. So in this way, that eighth dimensional structure is an organizing force of impeccable conduct. Okay, all that is. Now, what the religions on this planet have done is they taken the encodements of this particular level of our being and has twisted it into rules to tell us how to live, to dominate our will. And very interestingly enough, just yesterday we were going for a walk in this park and someone left this beautiful stone that was all painted, and it said, "His will, his way, my faith." You see? And that's typical fundamentalist teachings of, they're trying to describe divine will, holy. They're trying to, but they're twisting it in a way where there is a God above that passes judgment, and if you're not good, then you're a sinner. If you don't follow His rule, then there's something wrong with you. You'll get forsaken or sent. You know what I mean? You'll get punished in some way. So this particular reality here has been heavily influenced and distorted to actually keep humanity under control. Okay. I'm just making this a ... just so we understand how this is actually woven into our everyday reality. It's not some place that you only visit when you have the eyes to see. It's actually a fabric, maybe filaments you might say, that weave through all of the nesting dolls within it. Just like the all that is, or I'm sorry, just like the Milky Way. I mean, actually, I can't do ... on her, but you'll see. But imagine that her nesting doll also permeates through this all that is awareness, and then. So this is the structure. These are like the guidelines, the rules, right? And now we have the next layer of free will that separates from the oneness and explores what those rules are. Explores how to live, how to express those rules, those structures through free will. Okay? And this is that 7D. This is that soul song that we call, right? This is the individuation as it is in pure frequency. And what this looks like is that when you separated from source, you were a single frequency of thought. A single frequency of thought. Okay? And that soul song, that thought, see, it's in its red, so it is the free will of exploring a reality that is held together. The rules of that reality is held together by that all that is consciousness. And this is where we get things like angelic, before a big change, before a big shift happens, we get trumpets from the angelic realm. Okay. We get, when there is a realized being that approaches your reality, it is preceded by a profound sound. Okay. So that means when a being is like that approaching reality and you're hearing those trumpets and those sounds, that is this frequency permeating through these inner nesting dolls in a more total, complete kind of way. It's not in a place of fragmentation. It's in a place of wholeness, in a place of consolidatedness, let's say. So this nesting doll right here, the keepers of this nesting doll are the beings of the Andromeda galaxy. And the keepers of this nesting doll of the eighth dimension is the Intergalactic Federation, or AKA Galactic Federation. Okay. And this is a council of hundreds and hundreds of species that decide what appropriate action is. If you understand, it's like they initiate us into what it is to be an ethical behavior with life, with all of life. And many of us, of course, have memories of being on this kind of council or recognize that we are currently on that council now. Okay. But we're here in human form simultaneously. Okay. So now this free will that's exploring the all that is via frequency has a next layer of dimension, next layer of density, and that is where we see sound creating shape. And sound creating shape is another level of structure. Another level of structure. And this structure is the light body. And this light body is the organizing force of all the incarnational experiences you have in form. Okay? So whether those incarnational experiences were as a light being with form, with definition and shape, that definition and shape came from this light body. The map of the unfoldment as you explore yourself within these three nesting dolls is all mapped out right here. So this is before you have all those lives. This is before you have all those three-dimensional incarnational experiences, before you have interdimensional experiences. The kinds of experiences you're going to have within the Milky Way galaxy and all its interdimensional realms is mapped out right here. How you live, how you heal, how you die, and so on and so forth. Okay. So in this reality, there's in that six-dimensional reality, within that blueprint, are junction points of the all that is, are junction points of the of your soul song, are junction points of the galactic mind. Okay, so they're all fabrics within this structure. Okay. Oh, wait a minute. I have a question here. Let's see. Hello, dear Nancy. Good to see you. All right. So Soul Schooling says, who are the 70 gatekeepers? Couldn't write fast enough. Oh, 70 Andromedans. All right. You guys got my back. Excellent. Thank you for that, darling. That was Cosmic One. All right. So this is the free will. I'm sorry. This is structure right here, the structure of the light body. And then we imbue even further in density. And this is where we get all those lifetimes. Lifetime after lifetime after lifetime after lifetime. This is where we get that experience of the soul's journey that just keeps going and going and going and going. And the soul's journey was also what we would refer to as the information within the soul's journey is also what we refer to as the Akasha. So notice, did I just do that backwards? No. Notice that it's a red circle. It's free will. Now you explore the potentials of this blueprint with your free will. Yeah. And that will manifest instantly. So you're having all of the experiences all at once. We in a human body, we in linear mind, will look at it, we'll have access to that information, but we'll experience it as past life, parallel life, future life. Okay. We'll experience it like that in our perceptions, but in reality, it's happening all at once. Okay. And this is also where the gateways to our perceptions to accessing infinity comes in. Okay. The keepers of this gateway, by the way, are the Pleiadians. At this time, it may shift. There's a lot of shenanigans getting unraveled right now that have been happening on the cosmic level, the galactic level, and the interstellar level, manipulation of consciousness and stuff. So this very well may shift pretty quickly, which means entire timelines of exploration and manifestations will just be instantly gone, not there anymore, because it's not in your will in this here and now moment to do it anymore. You see what I mean? So when you make shifts on a deep level, like on a cosmic level or beyond, you can actually unwrite history. You can undo things. You can make things in a way to where the records and the wisdom and the lessons remain intact, but the actual timelines of exploration of that reality are no longer in existence anymore. That is a thing. And this is really important because this is actually what the Ascension is all about. So I want to just set that up a little bit there. Okay, the next layer is a structural layer again. So we have our free will of our soul's journey, and then we have, you're right. What am I doing? I'm forgetting my lines here. Okay. So within your soul's journey is the fabric of the galactic mind, of the Milky Way, of the all that is, of the soul song, okay? And then within that, we have the next level of structure, which is that 4D field. Okay. The 4D field, I'm waking up to more and more and more what the 4D field is about. And one of the things that came to me about what the 4D field also includes is the reality of scalar waves and how scalar waves influence our reality. Our thoughts are not just thoughts. Our thoughts have biomagnetic biomagnetics associated with that. So there's certain thoughts have certain frequencies, and on top of that, each of them also, when it's a clear thought aligned with who you are, and it's in a direction of your purpose, okay, I'm talking about on a spiritual level, not on an ego driver level, then that thought actually generates a scalar wave and starts to organize the next step in reality of manifesting what that thought is taking you towards. So there's a lot involved with the 4D field. So I'm going to draw this again in a different way over here. But first I want to do this nesting doll thing. So this 4D field, it's our belief systems, it's structures that exist in our subconscious, it's inherited trauma drama, PTSD, it's mind control program frequencies, it's all these things that affect us on a collective level and also affect us in our relationship to the collective. So you can be in the collective and not be of it, as in you are present and you're aware of swimming through this collective soup, but this collective soup doesn't actually define your reality for you. You are in sovereignty instead, and you define your own reality. You don't depend on the collective to define your reality for you. Okay, so this is one of those pieces that we wake up to eventually on this multidimensional sovereignty journey, is that you have to own your own choices and your trajectory in this reality. Because if you don't actually actively embrace creating the reality you want, you are at the whim of the collective nightmare. And right now, I think we can all agree that the nightmare is pretty horrific at the moment, right? So we need to dare to dream our world into being again and reclaim our reality, not just for us personally, of course, for all of life. Because all of us, if you think about or tap into your wildest dreams for this planet, for this reality, it's one that honors all life. Yeah, I'm sure you'd have no doubts about that. All right, so I'm going to make this I'll make this a squiggly, because that's kind of how the collective is. It's a squiggly mess right now. What is up is down, what is down is up, what is in is out, what is truth is lie, and what is a lie, the lies are taken as truth. Everything is bass-backwards in our collective at the moment. Okay. And then we have, notice that collective 4D structure is one of one of structure. So it actually is a building block. Ooh, the lawnmower guys just showed up. It's a building block of rules, so to speak, for the next nesting doll within it, which is the 3D reality. Our 3D reality. This is our experience of time, as in constructed time, and our experience of space. And this reality, right, really dominates our awareness. We can agree on that. This reality really dominates our awareness, but still recognize that in our 3D reality actually exists all these other dimensions. It's not devoid of these other dimensions. And because this 4D field out here is so loud and dense and dominant, most people don't see past their own belief systems, which is why unraveling belief systems is so profound to opening up intuitive blind spots. Okay. So the more you can unwind those belief systems, the more you have access to all these other fabrics, all these other strands that are making up the fabric of your reality. Cool? Okay. And so that's exploration of free will. And then the next circle here is the telluric realm. Okay, it is a structure, right? We have rules of reality that the telluric realm gives us. It's the language of ionic exchange. It's the language of microbes. It's the language of atoms and molecules. And as we all agree, you know, the needs of these realities staying intact, we have to abide by them. For example, you can't live out of integrity to your physical body. Your physical body needs a particular frequency and particular things in order to stay healthy and vibrant. Like you need good sleep, you need to eat well, you need to drink water. Okay, there's all these things that need to happen in order for this telluric aspect of our being to be a suitable vehicle for our infinite nature. And if we don't listen to those rules, if we don't listen to that, then we're not going to have this vehicle for very long. Yes, there are people who do transcend the need to eat and drink and do things like this. This is absolutely possible. I know a few people who have achieved that in this life. But what happens when you actually are in their presence, the dominant frequency in their awareness are these fabrics, the fabrics of frequency, the fabrics of light structure. Those are what's dominant in their awareness when they're walking through their 3D world. Okay, it's not the limitations that most people think is their 3D world. They don't have the idea that living is suffering. They don't have the idea that they have to eat and sleep. They don't have the idea that they need to, abide by certain rules that have been imposed upon humanity. They have a completely different paradigm that they live in, which allows them to be liberated from a lot of the rules. Okay. And then, of course, we have the center of the Milky Way galaxy. Sorry, I forgot this one. Get these in here. Okay. And then we have the center of the planet, which is also the universal mother. Right here, the Pachamama. Mother Earth. Okay. This is the core consciousness that we all have the agreement with to be here. Ooh. Let me know if those sounds are really loud, and I'll see what I can do about modifying my microphone, maybe. Okay, haha, so happy to get to listen to you in the morning. Hello, darlings. Okay, guys, let me know about the sound. All right, so with that said, let me go into one other model, and then I'll start answering all the questions that you guys left for me in the group. By the way, thank you, everybody, for your contribution. For those of you who are in the Rise of the Multidimensional Human group, we actually post a thread where you get to ask questions. And those of you who are on Telegram, you guys also share things here and there, which actually a lot of these questions came from Telegram. And that is the Multidimensional Human group on Telegram if you want to be in on that. Because more and more, I think we're all starting to agree that Facebook sucks. All right. So this model needs to be in our awareness. All right, we're going to pause to see if the lawnmowers get by real quickly. And if not, I'm going to have to move our location. Of course, I have to be recording on mowing day, huh? All right. So the purpose of this particular model is to show us how these upper dimensional frequencies of our existence actually have to pass through the 4D field. The 4D field of polarity has to pass through polarity, but then it also has to pass through our belief systems. And our belief systems are the primary blind spots that humanity has. It's primarily the blind spot that keeps humanity separate from source. Okay, so let me go ahead and move on. Okay, sounds good right now. Thank you, Laurel. Well, that's great. All right. All right. So, dear Yona says, are there stages of ascension? Is nature the only truly organic part of Earth? Is the rest matrix? Okay, so there's a couple questions in that. And there's another question, but I'll get to that. So are there stages to ascension? I would say in the old paradigm, absolutely. In the new paradigm, all bets are off, because there are people who are waking up like that. It's like they just wake up one morning and they are full blown open to their interconnectivity. So let me step back a little bit and explain my definition of what ascension means. Okay. So, and actually, I don't call it ascension anymore. I call it multidimensional awakening, a human in their multidimensional sovereignty. That's what I call ascended. And there's lots of reasons why. The main thing that has caused the main story that we have in humanity that we have to explain ascension is that we had a fall in consciousness, and that was due to maybe a Luciferian rebellion or Orion War overspill, or the destruction of Meldak, Draconian control. I mean, there's all sorts of things we can put in there about how that fall happened. But in a gist, there was a fall in consciousness. And what does it mean to fall in consciousness? A fall, to me, means to be separate from source. So each incarnation, you're a little bit more separate from source, until you are in the experience of forsakenness. You are in the experience of total nothingness. Okay. And this is, I think we can all agree that many facets of humanity have been exploring forsakenness and despair for a long, long time. Yeah. So with that narrative put in mind, the ascension process is the process of waking up back to source, waking back to being unified, being back to awakening, to being back in your interconnectedness, okay, which is your natural state. It's our natural state, is to be interconnected. So in the ascension process, there's some stages that some people have been able to define. And what I'm finding in the old paradigm, I saw that as being true, but in the new paradigm, I'm finding that people are waking up to their interconnectivity like so quickly that there's no real stage you can point your finger at. But I did make a list of signs that you are waking up back to your interconnectivity, that you are waking up back to your connectedness with source. So I'm going to go through the list of signs, and you guys let me know. In the beginning, how it goes is, first, you wake up to your natural healing abilities and your regenerative abilities. Your regenerative ability for your own biosuit, for your own being, and also your ability to regenerate with the earth. That means heal the soil. That means grow plants. That means connect with nature in a way that is fruitful and nourishing. Lawnmower coming, hold on. Okay, all right. So that's step one. After that, let's see. After that, you start to recognize that there are benevolent and there's malevolent beings, energetic, non-corporeal beings on this planet. Okay, so what I'm talking about here is, in this field right here, there are beings, and there's levels of this where there are beings interacting with us humans that are not benevolent beings. They are not for life. They are for the fracturing of life. They are for creating more fragmentation. Okay, so you wake up to that, and you learn how to, let's say, cut your own mustard, so to speak, in walking the world in peace amongst that. Okay, so you start learning about how to hold proper space for yourself, how to have good energetic hygiene, start to listen to your intuition when you're going to a place that all of a sudden you're like, nope, I'm not going to go there. Okay, you honor that rather than making yourself wrong. You're stepping outside of the world of shoulds and start paying attention to how you feel and what you sense instead. And that has a dominant place in your interaction. So that's stage two. Stage three is having pretty significant psychic intuitive blast open in your awareness. So that could come as a dream time, that can come as an activation, that can come as a transformative experience. Some people have gone to different sacred sites like Stonehenge or Egypt or Machu Picchu, Chichen Itza. I mean, these different places, and just by walking on those ancient grounds, get activated, and they wake up to a whole nother level of who they are. I've had many stories shared with me where beings, humans will go on to a special place geologically. And as soon as they step into that energy field, and this happens with crop circles too, into that energy field, they just instantly, all of a sudden, they're hearing a voice, another voice besides theirs. And at first they think that that voice isn't them, but as they integrate with that voice more and more, they realize it's their higher self or some other kind of aspect of them that is guiding them in their awakening process from that point forward. I had a gentleman tell me a beautiful story. He's a really famous psychic, where he went to some place in the mountains, and there was a cave that he was drawn to go to. He was hiking somewhere. I think it was somewhere outside of Aspen, Colorado. It was up in elevation, and it was a pretty long hike, and he was drawn to go into this cave, and he went into this cave and went instantly into an altered state and meditated there for like 3 hours. He didn't know that 3 hours went by, but when he came out of that altered state and came out, it was like it was no longer light outside, it was dark. And in that awakening experience, he, as he explained it to me, now is fully connected to the voice of God. Okay. So stuff like that starts to happen in your activation process as an ascension process. Now, the thing is, and I'm not saying that was the voice of God, and I'm not saying that channeling is something that is for everybody. I think it's a very, very treacherous practice, because a lot of people get hijacked. Not everybody. Just to let you know, not everybody gets hijacked, but a lot of people do. I would say 8 out of 10 people end up getting hijacked eventually in the channeling process. So you just be cautious when you do this. And what happens is that the more awake and aware of your interconnectedness you become, the higher the bar of your integrity, of your sovereignty gets. Okay. So you wake up to these things in your own time, in your own way, in your own process. Okay, and then let's see. Oh yeah, and then the next thing that also starts happening is that you start experiencing and having memories resurface of other lifetimes. And I'm not just talking about human lifetimes. You start waking up to memories and experiences of being species in another galaxy, in another planetary system, in an interdimensional realm. I've had many people tell me experiences. They wake up to remembering lifetimes as being a Sasquatch during the Lemurian times. I've also had people wake up to, have stories for me that tell me about waking up to lifetimes as Zeta Reticuli or being a reptilian. Okay, so you start to wake up to who you are on these other levels through the Akasha, and you start reintegrating that quantum of who you are. Okay, so the kinds of entanglements that are in the Akasha from those lifetime experiences, you start unraveling them and reclaiming that quantum for yourself in the here and now. And in such, you become more and more consolidated. Okay. And of course, what comes hand in hand with that is in the here and now 3D experience, you start having exospecies experiences and or relationships start to build. Like many of you have been approached by Sasquatch, and they start coming to you in your dreams, and you start experiencing them in the physical realm. Many people will actually have close contact experiences of the 5th, 4th, and 3rd kind. Okay, so this is also part of the awakening process, part of the reinterconnectedness process. And this is actually, in my opinion, this is where it gets really fun because life as you knew it, there's no going back to the old story. It's full steam ahead and what the new is to come. Even though you feel like you're going crazy, even though you're like, to others, they think that you've had a psychotic break, doesn't matter. You are full steam ahead going back home to yourself. And there's nothing at that point, there's nothing that can stop it. And you know it deep inside, which is the plus and all that. All right. And then the other thing that happens is that via your interconnectedness, synchronicities, you guys know what I mean about synchronicities. You think of somebody and they give you a call. You'll have someone in your mind and you'll turn the corner and there they are, stuff like that. Synchronicities become an actual way of life. It's how you live. You live by grace and beauty. Okay. The impossible, there's no such thing, right? It's all about how you are aligning your thoughts, your emotions, your intentions, all that stuff with the truth of your spirit. And then it becomes so incredibly clear how the universe actually colludes on your behalf. And once you make a decision all the way, the decision is made all the way, and you can feel it. It's like planets go out of their way to align for you to step into what it is you decide you're going to do, which is awesome. That's a really cool thing too. Another thing, this may be seventh on the list, the other stage of what happens is that either you have a near-death experience or you heal yourself from a terminal type diagnosis or some sort of life-threatening situation, and you correct it. Okay. With the near-death experience, that means that you actually do die. You go to the other side, you get reinformed and downloaded, and you come back into your body in a different state, and therefore rearrange your whole entire life according to that new state that you came back to your life in, right? There's that kind of thing. And then the other thing is, if you don't leave your body, but you're being diagnosed and are facing actually having to leave your body permanently, you change everything about your life. You activate full on your healing abilities and your ability to collude with the universe to bring a situation of miraculous healing into your world. Okay. That one, yeah. So that one is probably, it's super, super intense. Not everybody successfully negotiates that initiation. But once you do, you are even more forever changed. And there's another level of not going back, and another level of really letting go of the identities of who you think you are, right? And as you let go of those identities of who you think you are, you actually, quite literally, grow a new body. Okay. And this is absolutely possible. I know many people who have done it. I've done it myself. You actually grow a new body, and that body gets sick differently than the original did. That body has different needs than the old one did. Okay, so this is a major milestone. All right, and then I would say the final step to that is transcending polarity altogether. So that means you are in full flow with your cosmic self. You are not hindered by any identities. And there's many humans that I know that are like this in this world. See, this is why my version of the Ascension narrative is very different than others, because I don't believe, or I don't have a sense that, we evaporate from these bodies, or these bodies evaporate. Instead, we learn to operate these bodies as the multidimensional vehicle as they are meant to be. We reactivate those dormant DNA strands, and we reclaim those abilities on those levels. And in that way, we are completely transcendent of the rules of reality that most humans live. We are living in the new earth right now, walking right alongside the other ones who are living in the old earth. Okay? And the thing is that it's about critical mass. When you have enough people who are awoke to these levels, that's where all of nature is going to change to reflect that. Okay? And we are watching that happen to nature. We might experience it as, as fires, as destruction. But as you know, this is how nature works. You have to have a cycle of death and decay before a rebirth cycle can come. So yeah, we're destroying our ecology. We're destroying it how it used to be, and it's going to come back in a different way. And because we have the power to synchronize with the universe, with the earth, with the sun, and the weather and the elements, and we have the ability to cultivate a regenerative relationship with our planet, we are going to create an entirely new ecosystem. It may not look like this one now, but we will make it because we want to, okay? Because it's in our value system too, because as the all that is part of us, which is the beauty of our humanity, this is what we do. We we sow seeds for generations to come, not just for ourselves, but for generations. That's us in our highest human potential. All right, so is nature the only true organic part of Earth? Is the rest matrix? Yeah, that's a tricky one because there's a lot of overlaps. And actually, darling, I'm not going to be able to answer that in a succinct amount of time. That I will have to develop over. All right, I'm going to say in general, yes, but remember, electricity is a part of nature. Okay, and like I was talking about the scalar waves, our thoughts create scalar waves when it's aligned with our truth. So that also is a part of nature. So I'm going to make that leap, and this may not be a very popular thought, but there are levels of technology that is part of nature too. I know it's like, what? How can I say that? Well, it's because it's that electrical piece, because electricity has a consciousness too. And right now we're all living off of electricity that's enslaved, right? But when you have electricity that is created or developed through elemental interactions and stuff like that, that electricity is in harmony with nature and is a part of nature. Okay. So anything you run off that electricity will also be compatible with that frequency too. So just food for thought on that one. I'll leave it there. All right. What are good topics to talk about with curious friends that don't trigger but could lead to greater awareness? That would be an awesome. All right. Well, all right. So I'm laughing again at this. So yeah, this is a tricky one, but I thought about it and there's a few pieces. So people who are curious, but this sounds too off the wall to be real. You can start off. Hold on. Is my water nearby? I'm waiting for the lawnmower to go by. I said that we're at a city park. We're at a city park. Just so happens to be lawnmower day. All right. I'm just going to take a drink real quick as we wait for them to go by. Whew. Did I mention it was hot? Okay. So I made a list of things that you can talk about. And I thought that, if you can if there are things that are referred to in mainstream media or in pop culture, maybe that would make things more friendly to talk about. So the number one thing that came to mind, and this has just recently become possible, is talking about disclosure, talk about ETs and UFOs. Now, immediately people are going to be like, you're crazy. But you can say, hey, listen, haven't you seen that the Pentagon released some of its records of its research and pursuit of UFO technology? It's a department that gets billions of dollars a year in funding. Okay, this was public information that was released. So you can maybe start off with something like that, or, cite something like that. The other thing is, and this is something that I've had fun with in the past that does convince people that of energy who don't believe in energy, and that is giving them an energy experience. And the easiest one is, especially if it's with a man and you're a woman and the man's stronger than you, right? This is the best one ever because they can't not say no to it. And that is using like a muscle test. So you have a real strong guy, you have him hold his arm out and you try to, have him resist your pushing down. And of course, he's big, you're little, and you can't push it down at all, right? He's like, ha, 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 because I'm a man or whatever, right? Well, and then you go through, and ethically you have an issue with this. Don't, because it happens all the time. You can just take your intention and make a couple slits in his energy field and muscle test him again, and he will collapse. He will collapse so easily, and he will not understand why that happened. And then you can explain to him it's because you severed his energy channels. Now, it's not permanent. It grows back. You can correct it right away if you want to, which, most people are happy to let you do that once they realize how it's affecting them. But even if you didn't fix it or didn't know how to fix it, which I suggest not doing it if you don't know how to fix it, it will grow back, because quite literally our fields are constantly getting cut and invaded by technology and other people all the time. It happens all the time. So you're not doing anything that he's never experienced before. What you're doing is actually giving him a vehicle to become aware of it. So that could be something to play with. And maybe another topic that you can talk about is something called, start the idea about placebo effect, psychosomatic healing, psychosomatic health. stuff like this. That might be a topic that they will be open to. But really, it depends on the people. Some people are curious, but not really, right? They're curious, but as soon as you go in any direction, no, they don't want to be there for it. Or sometimes your curiosity is really about, they have a sense, but they have a sense and a knowing inside, but they just never heard words put to it. And then it could be as simple as being able to give them some words to describe what that is. And then they're open and awake to things that they weren't available for before. That kind of thing. All right. Hope that is helpful, darling. Okay. Oh, and then we have Nasika is asking about Bitcoin. How do I view the coming year, the monetary stuff? That is something that I'm curious about, and I see a lot of friends that actually have made a lot of money on that. So I think that it's a game. If it's a game, there's rules, and you learn the rules, and then you play the game. And if you make money that gives you freedom in this reality, why not play the game, right? I would say don't do anything to compromise your personal integrity, or a lot of people will sell their souls for money or power or whatever. As long as you're impeccable with how you behave and interact and what you do with that kind of gain, then I don't see a problem with it. A lot of people in the New Age movement or in the holistic movement are talking a lot about cryptocurrencies because it's outside of the rules right now of government. So you can have most of your exchanges done, like if you do corporations and stuff like that, you can have most of your exchanges done through cryptocurrency and what's that other thing called? Private what? Cryptocurrency and private coin. What's the name of that? Do you remember?
Well, I think that they call it private coin.
Is it called private coin? Okay, so there's financial products like that you can actually usurp the whole taxation process and entanglement with the IRS kind of stuff. Like I said, I don't know much about it. I only heard really, really, really smart people, way smarter than I, talk about it, and I have yet to really invest enough of myself to figure it out. So I guess that's where I'm at. But remember, I'm coming from a place where I don't think any of it's good, bad, right, or wrong. It's all toys. It's all games. It's all it's all a role that you play. It's not who you really are. So I don't feel a particular aversion towards things that are technology versus things that are organic. Now, I definitely have faith and believe within about the organic process of our reconnection to self and source. That I absolutely am a proponent for, versus the transhumanism movement. All right, I'm not necessarily vibing with that. So I suppose if there were a line for me to draw, that's where it's at. All right. Let me keep going. Okay, so this is Renee. What about nefarious collectives? How do we determine and stay sovereign? Right, so nefarious collectives, what they do is they do what they can to get you to collude with their disempowerment program. So I would say be very aware of what disempowerment looks like, and really examine closely the choices that are being given to you. For example, okay, so there is a saying, and the saying goes, you're either a slave of Satan or a servant to God. Do you sound free in either of those scenarios? Okay, I would say that particular polarity choice was given to us by nefarious collectives that believe they have the right to confine us like that, to define us like that, to overlord us like that. Okay, so we have to be fierce in our truthfulness with ourselves and very clear on what we're doing, why we're doing it. If we are really invested into who we are, our ego driver, then we're very easily controlled. But when we put a high priority on being in harmonics with the deep as self that we are, then it's a different conversation. There's different kinds of choices that present, and we can see more clearly through those pitfalls. Okay, so Some of us are part of those nefarious groups and don't know it. That's a thing too. And that is something where we can bring our unification, our alchemy, our ability of quantum alchemy, and so forth into that scenario. We can actually liberate ourselves from those soul commitments and or liberate that group into playing those roles that they're playing for humanity. So there are definitely things to our disposal that we can do to mitigate these things. We are not victims here, guys. We are in the most elaborate, intense, let's say, video game ever invented. It is like the game of the millennia, of the epoch, of the eon. And there are beings that are fighting hand over fist to get to be a part of it, okay? So just know that we are way more profound than we've ever been allowed ourselves to believe. And when we wake up to that, we quite literally become unstoppable. Quite literally, in this reality, we become unstoppable. We transcend all those limitations. We transcend time even. All right, Joanne says, since Christina, you mentioned it, the Jaguar power in a recent land, I was wondering. Okay, so Jaguar Medicine. I'm sorry, Joanne, I'm going to have to leave that one out. That one is pretty... all right, I will give one story for Jaguar Medicine, and then we'll move on to Anne. And that is the phenomena of the temple complexes. Where are we at in time? Okay. The phenomena of the temple complexes in Central and South America being abandoned. So historians study this, and they say that they're mysteriously abandoned. They have no idea why. And that's because there is an awareness in those cultures of a movement, a cycle, an ebb and a flow. And to have power exalted in a certain state where the nesting dolls are just right, that power, that interdimensional cosmic level of self can be maintained and a culture can exist with that in place. But as soon as one of those nesting dolls goes into a different cycle, it will sour the milk, so to speak. That power will start to become, rather than a harmonic power with, it'll start tilting the scales, and it'll start turning over to power over dynamics. And the wisdom keepers of those kingdoms knew that. The kings and the royalty, the princesses and all that, they knew that. So when those nesting dolls would shift and it was time for the power center, the geographic energy of the planet to support the power center, it'll shift with those cycles as they shift. So then, it's all right, it's time to leave this city. We are now going to go and make new somewhere else. And this story is also expressed in the journeys of Upper and Lower Egypt. The power centers of the Egyptian Empire would go back and forth between Upper Egypt and Lower Egypt. And the great fall, finally, of the Egyptian civilization was with Akhenaten, because he was in Lower Egypt and he needed to take over the power center of Upper Egypt, except the priesthood and the priestesses of those, I'll just say, mystery schools were not going to let go of that power. So he didn't do it. He knew that, and so he didn't do it. And then not long after that, the decline or the fall of the Egyptian Empire ensued with, I think it was, Nefertiti, right? So Jaguar Medicine is power in a feminine way, as in it moves, it fluctuates. It's power and flexibility rather than brute strength. It's also being sensitive and aware of the constant of change and being able to move with that constant of change and not resist it. And, our indigenous of the Americas also knew that the changing of the tide was coming. They knew that, but they did not want to accept what that was, and they fought that. And of course, horrific circumstances ensued. I'm not saying they would have been able to avoid that, because I don't know. I don't have a specific memory of a moment where there was another possibility, but the genocide that happened maybe could have been a little bit unfolded differently than what it did. But who knows? That's That's for others to talk about, think about. Okay, so I hope that's a little helpful insight into Jaguar Medicine. All right, so Jackie 5. This is from the Telegram group. Okay. Okay, so where do vows and contracts get sticky and stuck? Okay, vows and contracts, right? So they are sticky and they do get stuck, and that's mainly because of people are going into them not fully aware of the implications. So, like when you do vows in a ceremonial context, you're in a hyperdimensional space, echoing your vow throughout time and space, and it makes a notch within the akasha, and now your vow stays in play until it unravels. So there's lots of ways for that to unravel. Usually unification, soul retrieval, healing like this will unravel a lot of the vows that are disempowerment vows. But some are done with really high magic, and the ones that are done with high magic don't end just because, or you can't retrieve those parts of yourself until you address all of the components to that magic. There was a Mormon sect that used to bind people, marriage couples. They would bind their souls, as in energetically seal their souls together. So even if they didn't want to be together anymore, they couldn't separate. They couldn't break up. Okay. Now that in certain circles, that's considered a curse. Okay. Because what if someone falls out of impeccability? What if, things happen and it's just not right anymore? Like, it's like that person is actually being with that person is actually harming you, and then you can't get away. So that could be considered a curse. I know when we're in the moment of being in love, we think it's a great idea to be with someone forever, but really forever is a really long time. And, what if the next life isn't as compatible as this life? It's like right now you're male and female, maybe close to each other's age, but what if next life, the person's like 80 and a male, and oh, what do you know? You're a 4-year-old and you're a male. Do you really want to be bound together like that? Right? So there's a lot of ramifications that people don't take into consideration. So when you have something with high magic bound together like that, you actually have to go back to all the beings that made that deal, that participated in the sealing, that participated in holding the space. Okay. And then of course there's interdimensional AI stuff that piggybacks on top of that too. So they do get sticky, and at the same time, there's things that we can do to unravel it. Now there's something called a sacred vow, and that is something that is like a much higher than any high ceremonial magic. It's more of a something that's happened out here in some of these nesting dolls. Maybe even a vow was made the moment of your separation from source. Now that I would call that more of a mandate, because it's like your purpose of being, and that of course will take a different kind of undoing to unravel it. Not that you can't, but you really need to be with experienced people that know these realms well in order to traverse the agreements that happen on those realms. But they can and do get unraveled. I've been a part of many of those kinds of unravelings, and it's groundbreaking. It's earth shattering. It's reality shattering. It's really, really cool to be a part of and witness. All right. Can a bloodline have been contracted and affect the future generations? Yes, absolutely. We're experiencing that now. So they've been contracted to, say, be caretakers in certain ways. All right, so I'm going to go a little bit over some ancient history. So the planet Pachamama has been overseen by many different kinds of beings that are kind of like custodians or caretakers of the evolvement here. And there is a tribe of beings that decided that they were responsible for life on Earth, and they were just going to do what they wanted to do. Now, they were able to do that because they were given that directive by the Star Elders. They were allowed to do that. But then when they started to make the choices that were muddying the waters of Eden, so to speak, the elders did not give their permission for that, and they withdrew their support. Only thing is, that agreement that they had to complete its cycle. You can't just stop something in the middle of the cycle. Remember what I was saying about the Jaguar Medicine? Everything is in a cycle. So they had to let that cycle complete with them, with the bird tribes in charge. Okay. And we are at that point where that cycle has come to completion. A lot of the bird tribes have woken up to the mistakes that have been made. And they don't want to fight the new earth, the new paradigm. They want to be a part of it. So, there's a lot of unification that's happening with those levels like that. Okay. So, but the ones that are trying to continue the old contract in the old way, that's not going to work anymore, which is why the shenanigans is going on right now, because they want to keep humanity locked in having to fight and defend themselves. They want to keep them locked in this 4D field. And if there's enough critical mass locked in that level of awareness, then there's a chance they'll be able to change the trajectory of the earth, of the sun. I don't think it's going to succeed, but, well, we'll see. All right. How do you manage the topic of intercourse and dream space from popping up often? Okay. I don't know if I quite understand that question, but I will say that intercourse is a very intimate intermingling of not just like bodily functions and fluids and stuff like this, but it's an intermingling of emotional, mental, lots of energies within the body. So it is not uncommon for your dream space to be affected by the actual act of having intercourse with another human. That absolutely can happen. And you can pick up energies from other humans. Say if they have, entities or hungry ghosts or something like that, you can pick those up too. Okay, hold on. Our lawnmower guy is texting. He paused right here so he can text. Okay, so now when you're having, oh, I see. When you're having intercourse in a dream, there's something about that really needs to be looked into. That could be an abduction experience. That could be an interdimensional experience. Hold on. It could be an interdimensional experience. It could be beings invading your space, seducing you, all sorts of things like that. Sorry about that lawnmower, guys. All right. Okay, so there's a bunch of questions here. I'm going to pause on my list of questions, and I'm going to address the ones that you guys put up. This lawnmower guy is going to do some real tight circles and then leave. Okay, so Spirit-Bound Neo says, I wonder what it feels like to fall. Oh, wait, I changed my mind. I don't want to. Yeah, right? That's exactly how it goes, isn't it? And it's interesting because we'll actually fall in consciousness and not even realize it until a lot has happened. And there's some beautiful stories in mythology that explain the fall of consciousness. Different gods and goddesses and demigods experience a fall in consciousness and not realizing it until way later. So that's really a thing. All right, so Joanne says, there is a Russian martial arts which uses the cutting energy, which is amazing to watch. And there's so much coming at us that any kind of cut or slice that we do, when done just as a demo intention, it's not something that's going to harm them on a permanent level or anything like that. And believe me, there's a lot worse stuff out there, like really, really a lot worse stuff. Okay, and then it says, I've encountered that for a few times. Absent-minded or lukewarm curiosity. They'll say they want to know, but as soon as they go into their eyes, as soon as I go into it, their eyes glaze over. Oh, I've seen that one. And their attention deviates completely. All right, so here, this is a great point. Believe it or not, that isn't their fault. It's because our consciousness, our thoughts and our emotions and the different recordings that go on in our head most of that, as in 99% of it, is not even ours. It's thought forms of other beings, other people, other entities, other programs, okay, implants. All of that busyness is happening inside of the human head. Most of it is not us. So when they have that glimpse of clarity, they have that glimpse of, oh yeah, this is interesting, I want to know more. As soon as they start to get to know more, all of those interferences ramp up, and they actually couldn't pay attention even if they wanted to. Okay, so it's not always their fault. A lot of times that interference is just stronger than their ability, stronger than their will and their ability to focus. Okay. At the gym, love listening to you, Christina. Oh, that's funny. Oh, awesome. Thank you for that, Raphael. All right, then we have serve in heaven or rule in hell. Oh, isn't that interesting? Very familiar with that talk. Very dualistic, not easy to leave that place. Only way I found was to take either or to the ninth degree. So it wraps up and goes around. Yeah. There's a beautiful quote that I've seen circulating around that says, if your life path happens to take you through hell, walk through hell like you own the place. All right. Okay, so cut out for a second. Sorry, I don't know when that was. And then Soul Schooling says, hit the like button to show support and love. Thank you, darling. Oh, yeah, guys. So if these particular talks are helpful for you, I do encourage you to hit the likes button, the subscribe button, like on YouTube. If you subscribe, or if we get to 1,000 subscribers and I can start doing live streams and different things on YouTube and just leave Facebook altogether, because I know a lot of us have become disenchanted with Facebook. Also, share with your friends, and, just invite people that you feel like really resonate with this kind of stuff to join and support us in our work. Everything, the lunchtime chats are always for free, and I'm doing this as open source code. Everything I talk about, if it resonates, if you can own it, make your own and move forward with it, help others by sharing it, do that. It's for you, right? Now, there are things to get involved with within the academy, and that is, that's a deep dive, much deeper dive process into these pieces that I'm talking about. So if you are interested in those kinds of diving deeper into multidimensionality, I encourage you to check out our lightbodyacademy.com website. We're about to introduce two new things. One of them is the quantum reality shift program, which is more of a introduction to how to quantum reality shift, use that ability to change and shift your trajectory and your timelines and stuff like this. And then there's one program that we already have called the Dreamtime Healing Project, and this is learning how to quantum dream, learning how to actually reclaim your ability to dream this world into being, to be an active participant in that. Okay, so that takes some work, that takes some unwinding, but once you get it, it's something that you can't ever not have again, and it's really worth it, because I believe that it's our responsibility as multidimensional beings. If we want a planet where humans can live in peace and the water is clean, the air is breathable, and life thrives, we have to reclaim our sovereignty and our ability to bring that into being. To do it, we have to do it. It's not going to be the people in charge, because right now the people in charge are, let's say, not for the benefit of humanity. They're for power. They're for money. They're not really thinking about what's good for humans. They're not thinking about what's good for our children, what's good for our grandchildren. They can care less about proper custodialship of the earth, of proper farming and healthy soil, and the things that people who really truly know how to regenerate with this planet, those values and principles, they don't care about. People say like Democrats are all about global fixing the global warming. Well, I got news for you. There is no fixing it. It's done deal. Now it's about custodialship. Now it's about reclaiming our ability to regenerate with this planet. And that is not the value systems that they have. That's not the value systems that they're showing at all or talking about. Because if they did, that would mean real change. And that's not what they're interested in. They're not interested in real change. If you guys just, maybe you guys do recognize what I'm talking about. In this whole game of red versus blue, it's a lie. They're all playing for the same side, guys. And that is a collective that is about domination and control. It's not about the well-being of all humans. And this is why our AI relationship to AI and TI technology is so out of control and causing so much harm. It's because the people who are implementing the technology do not have the best interest of humanity at heart. They have their own personal interests in mind and their cronies, okay? There is a way to have technical intelligence, to have AI as a harmonic existence within humanity, even a tool to help uplift humanity into even better ways of living and being custodians of this planet and creating nature that thrives. Okay, being a part of us being able to do that, but that's not the intention. And that's why we're at odds with the whole AI TI reality. Now, people talk about channeling, right? People have all these channelings from Archangel Michael and this Mike and this being and that being saying danger, AI is going to be the death of you. There's no stopping it. Blah 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 blah. That is a disempowerment story being fed. So is it the being that's feeding it, or is it the human lens that's turning it into that? I don't know. The jury's out. You have to decide. Me personally, I disregard anything that I hear channeled that goes into any kind of victimhood story or any kind of story of we're concerned kind of thing. Because there's narratives going out there like the Ascension's not going to happen. Well, the reality is the Pachamama already decided. And we've decided to be here. So, ego driver, you are not in charge. Our spirit is. And our spirit has decided. And though our ego driver may not really appreciate being along for the ride and feeling helpless and powerless along the way, our spirit has already decided. And we just get to go through the experience to figure out why and how. Okay? So when you know in your heart of hearts that the Pachamama's decided, the sun has decided, you have decided on a deep inner self level, then there's nothing to worry about. It's just a matter of watching it unfold. How much suffering does humanity have to go through in order to wake up to who they really are? Who knows? I don't think we need to be concerned with that. Instead, we need to be concerned about how to dream into the future, how to bring forward the reality we want. Who are the people we need to be connected with? Who do we network with? Who do we combine forces and resources with to create what we want in the here and now? That's what we need to be focused on. All these other narratives, they're going to keep spinning in the collective nightmare for as long as they need to. We don't need to be part of the collective nightmare. We need to be a part of being the visionaries and taking action on what we know is right for ourselves, for our community, for our children, our grandchildren. Okay. All right. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I'm sorry I didn't get through all those questions. There was a lot. I will try to, I'll revisit them later, perhaps next week. If you want to be a part of the conversation, I encourage you guys to check out our group, Multidimensional Human on Telegram, or Rise of the Multidimensional Human on Facebook. We also have our YouTube channel, lightbodyacademy.com, of course. I don't necessarily engage as much in that particular channel, but these videos are posted there, and they're easy to share with friends. And if that is the place where you want to interact with us, please like and subscribe. Help us out, get to that 1,000 subscribers so we can start live streaming directly to YouTube. All right, guys. Love you. Thank you so much for being here. I'll see you guys next time. Mwah, mwah.